Hey everybody, this week we've got really kind of interesting couple quick videos to look at. Connor was out for our last seminar, which was Human Weapons Project 3. It's kind of where we put everything together. And during a session where everybody was using weapons, he kind of noticed that some of the people weren't really picking up, some of the ways, that target focused training is taught and how synergistic everything is. And so he brought this out, Connor. So you got a couple of videos that kind of show somebody in a violent situation utilizing a weapon, and then it kind of highlights what we talk about, where the system is the system, the principles are the principles, with or without tools. This should highlight some of that.
Yeah, so I was in Vegas a few weeks ago for this seminar. And what I noticed was a lot of people are doing free practice. And during the free practice sessions, it's just hand-to-hand combat. But during this specific session, all of a sudden, a weapon got introduced. And what I noticed was everyone went away from what they were just taught. And something my dad preaches with his system is exactly what this video is going to show you. So I want to show the video, and then, Dad, give you a breakdown on everything so people can understand what we're kind of talking about here. So I'm going to pause it right there. We'll play it again one more time, but the guy who's on the ground, he had a knife in his hand.
Yeah.
So just watch this again. He had a knife in his hand. So what's your breakdown on that?
Yeah, so, obviously, it looks like it's something that was avoidable. Looked like, he did not have to get involved in this. Yeah. If you understand homemade shanks and you understand how prisoners use it, butter knife, whatever you call it, it can do real damage if you know what you're doing with it. But the highlight of this, which was so interesting, was these guys decide to go at it, and the one guy lands a great shot, knocks him out right away. And where's the knife? Did the knife protect him from anything? No. This guy understood that, okay, I understand this guy has a tool in his hand, but I have some available areas of the human body available to me. I know what to do with it. I have a little bit of training. Obviously, the guy was, trained in some sort of a combat sport. And he landed a good punch and just, knocked the guy out right away. Basically, everything's over. You'll notice the guy's lying on a heap right now, and the knife's probably still in his hand. And the point being is, a lot of people think when somebody has a tool, a knife or a club or something like that, it somehow just gives magical powers to them. And, like what we talk about is, imagine that you have a Glock in your hand. You got your favorite firearm in your hand. And then you're in a car, you're in a really nice sports car, like, you're in a Ford GT or something, and you're just flying down the road. And you are going straight into a concrete pylon holding that firearm. When you crash into the pylon, is that firearm going to protect you? Is it going to do anything? Is it going to protect you from harm? No. You're going to get the full, you're going to absorb all the impact. Your body's going to go through all the blunt trauma. It's going to go through all of that. It's regardless of whether or not you had a tool in your hand. That tool is only good to you if you use it on somebody. Now, if it had gone the other way around, that the guy that had the knife had been able to stab the individual once or twice to where the person started to bleed and started to, lose consciousness. We've seen plenty of those videos where a guy gets, it looks like he just got pinpricked in the side, and all of a sudden, but he's rapidly bleeding out because it was a highly vascular area that, caused him to bleed out. It can happen very, very quickly. But a tool is only good if you're using it. If you're not using it, it's worthless. It's not going to protect you from anything. It doesn't sit there and jump up and, knock a guy out for you. You have to be able to use it.
Yeah, exactly. That's just, it's just one of those things. It's just getting someone to go non-functional. It's not, there's a tool, now I got to do something different.
People will sit there and say, well, yeah, Tim, this is obvious, or, what's the big deal? No, it's not obvious. I see so many people change things up just because somebody has a tool in their hand. Now, listen, everybody understands that we always advocate devoid of choice, meaning you're not going to use a tool of violence. You're not going to do what this guy did. The guy that was the guy without the tool, the guy that knocked out the other guy. If you pinned him down here and just, really sat him down and said, okay, dude, did you really have to do this? He probably would have said no. I could have run away. I could have done this. I had options that I didn't take. I chose to respond and roll the dice, and it worked out okay for me. But again, that's just the idea behind this. It's twofold. You don't just use violence whenever you want. That'll get you in trouble. It just always does. And two, tools, gear doesn't do anything for you unless you're using that to affect an injury on somebody else. And that's the other thing that's really crazy. It's like people think somehow if a guy's holding a knife or something, he somehow has more of a protection, I guess, than other people. He doesn't. He's showing you intent. He has the intent to use a tool which can rapidly increase your trauma. You know, a punch to the solar plexus versus somebody stabbing you to the same area. The solar plexus area is huge. One is blunt trauma, where it triggers a gangling of nerves and you seize up and it's hard for you to breathe, and all things being equal, a couple minutes later, you're going to get your breathing back and you're going to be okay. You hit that same area and you punch a knife into that, there's a good chance that you're going to tap the aorta, you're going to get some liver, and you're going to get some highly vascular areas of the body bleeding out pretty quick. So it's just a rampant trauma by using the tool. That's what tools do for you. They increase trauma. They don't necessarily give you any additional protection.
Yeah, definitely. So that was just a quick video we had. If there's one big takeaway from this, what would you say it is for all the viewers?
Okay, these guys are relatively young guys. And when we're younger, we are more impulsive. And this was something, unfortunately, it worked out for him, which means I would not encourage him to do this in the future, meaning I don't think this was the right decision for him to make, to go up against somebody that's bearing a tool, because that means if they're showing it to you, you got to believe them. You got to believe they're willing to use it. And therefore, if you have any sort of an escape, any sort of an option, then you take it. It's only when you're devoid of choice that you do something like this. Now, unfortunately, and when I say unfortunately, I don't mean it in a bad way. I just mean this guy may have taken away the wrong lesson from this. You know, his lesson might be, oh, great, I'm going to fight a guy every time I can. As long as I get in close to him, I can take him out. Again, that's just not something that you'd want to bet your life on.
Awesome. Well, I think that's it. Well, until next time.
All right, guys.